The following podcast is a Dear Media production.
Okay, welcome to the show.
Yay.
I'm so fucking excited to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
Can we start off with you just introducing yourself?
So my name is Chloe Cherry, and I am an actor.
Yeah, you are. Own that. You are an actor. You're on a very
many things, but I guess I can just say an actor because that's what people mostly know me for that.
And what was life like for you growing up?
Life for me growing up was pretty normal. I don't know about normal. It was like, I'm from Pennsylvania. My parents, like my dad and mom, they had me, and then they had my brother a few years later. And we were very normal. Like my brother and I, we used to hang out a lot growing up. We were good friends. And living in Pennsylvania, we used to hang out with all the neighborhood kids and stuff. I have so many memories of just spending so much time outside in Pennsylvania, just literally out in a field or just in some backyard with trees. That was my whole childhood, was just being outside with the neighborhood kids. I did that so long, and we would go all over town because it was pretty suburban kind of, so it was safe for us to go all over the place, and we were just extremely outdoorsy as kids. And both my parents are artists, so they always would take us to museums and introduce us to art. And my aunt was an art teacher, and she would always do art projects with us, so we were raised very familiar with art, and nature is what my parents thought were very important
Things.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you had a positive childhood.
Yeah, I think that it was definitely in all intents and purposes, it was extremely good. My mom had very positive intentions on that. Yeah.
So this is so random, but I used to do ballet really intensely, and I actually used to go to this ballet camp in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Every summer.
That sounds like something that would be in Pennsylvania, a ballet camp.
Yes, yeah. So it's this really famous one too. It's called CPYB, Central Pennsylvania Youth Ballet. It's in a small town in the middle of Pennsylvania. Yeah. But I just remember one time I went to DC or something, we flew to DC, and then we drove there for my dad to drop me off at camp, and all the fireflies and it was just fireflies. So.
Oh yeah, it's very outdoorsy. It's if you like the outdoors, Pennsylvania is really nice, and Pennsylvania just has a lot of space. There's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of camps. I've heard a lot of people say they've gone to camp in Pennsylvania because there's just enough space for it.
Did you you went to Catholic school, right?
No, I didn't go to Catholic
school.
I went to public school. I went to, it was a public school that was, it was a Christian school, basically. If you were to talk to all the students, because of the area was very religious, all the students were religious. It was it was a public school, but everybody was religious just because the area was extremely religious.
But you grow up? Did you grow up religious?
No, I didn't grow up religious. And I was actually really, 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 I can't emphasize how hard it was to grow up from literally starting at the age of 5, how hard it was to grow up around people that are extremely religious when you're not taught any religion. And it's not that my parents were against religion, they just didn't feel the need to teach it to us at all, and they didn't take us to church. But a lot of people were taken to church that was their main purpose of life, and they were literally taught that was their whole purpose of life, and that they were all these horrible, in my opinion, horrible things to teach children in religion that these kids would believe, and they would yell at you, other kids would freak out at you, be oh, God doesn't like this, you're not, just the weird shit that I experienced of other kids yelling at me about God and Jesus growing up was hell. It was so awful. The amount of and even if you ask my brother, he would say the same thing. There were just so many random weird kids that were obsessed with God and Jesus, and teaching you about the Bible and weird creepy shit that I would never let my kids go anywhere near.
That they shove down your throat. So yeah. I went to Catholic school.
Yeah, I think that I literally when I found out what Catholicism was, in my personal opinion, I would never teach a children any of those things. Well,
I also think just for me, belief in God, religion is such a a individual experience that I'm like, no 4-year-old or 5-year-old should be like devout to any religion.
Totally.
Like I think you need to become an adult and then you can figure out like what you believe in. But like shoving it down someone's throat,
and like trying to put fear into a kid, I can't believe that's even legal. Like I really can't believe that those people I grew up around actually were taught those things as a child. Like it blows my mind.
Do you keep in touch with anyone from your hometown?
I keep in touch with like this one guy Dan who's really cool, this girl Sam, and like there's like a couple people that will come up every now and then, but like there's literally so few people. Like, and what's weird is that like I don't keep, and I feel like a lot of people are like this, but I don't keep in contact with like any of like the people I was close with. I keep in contact with people that I was like kind of close with that I've ended up actually having things in common with in adult life. But no, I'm not really in contact with very many people there at all. Like for example, I'm in New York City right now, and like if I really wanted to see people in Pennsylvania, it wouldn't be that far, but like there's no one other than my parents.
Yeah, I get it though. I think when your life starts to go in like such different directions and then you like meet up later in life, at least for me, I don't know, I can feel like almost socially anxious.
Totally. And it's like really, really a weird thing for like, especially because of the fact that I did something that was like so different, that like was so far out of the minds of anybody that I went to school with, that like they like don't even comprehend how to speak to somebody like me. Like they don't comprehend like the entertainment industry at all. Like they don't comprehend that as being a job. Like where I'm from, their lives are so small, they don't comprehend anything outside of like that place. Like they literally cannot comprehend anything outside of like Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and like just those things. And like so they just find it really weird that I would want anything outside of it, you know? So I just have no connection with them at all. And like I never really had that much of a connection with them, like to begin with. Like I wasn't like, I didn't have like tons and I wasn't just like friends with you know what I mean? Like I didn't like, I just growing up, like I had my friends, but they were like people that were more like me. Like I wasn't just like friends with everybody, because like a lot of people were like really just really boring to me and weird.
Are there, is the Amish community nearby?
Yeah, so the Amish community is everywhere in Lancaster. There was like literally Amish people like a couple blocks from my house. Like so we lived in like this sort of busy area of like towards like the city and stuff, but then once you go like not too far out, there's like literal Amish farms. Like there's like a city, but like not too far out, or like literal Amish farms.
You like go for a walk and there's someone in a horse and carriage.
Yeah.
But,
Oh,
like
100%.
literally.
Oh, and yeah, and you can be in like the city, like what's considered the city in Lancaster, and like there's like a horse and buggy goes by and like poops everywhere, and like it's so much everywhere, and it's so gross. It's so weird. I'm so glad other places don't have horse and buggies. They were so annoying to grow up around.
Well, I feel like they have some in New York, and I feel like they're really unethical and like fucked up.
I think they're extremely unethical. I think the Amish to begin with are just extremely unethical, and I don't know how any of that's
legal.
Like,
also,
yeah,
well, I just feel like
allowed?
again, like anything that's super insular.
Yeah, anything that's super strict, anything like that is just awful. It's so bad for humanity.
Yeah, and when there's like not a lot of communication, like I feel like I always watch these like documentaries or docu-series where they're like lifting the veil on all of these like super secular little communities, and there's always some like dark shit going on.
Oh my God, yeah. And any of those communities where they're like, we're doing things right by God, they're always doing everything very wrong to everybody. To just, they're doing things very badly.
So when we were preparing and we were talking a little bit prior to this interview, you mentioned to me, which I hadn't heard of before, and if you're comfortable talking about it, that you have lost a parent.
Yeah.
And I also lost a parent. I don't know which parent you lost, but I lost my mom when I was really young, like 8 years old. Or to me, that feels really young. Yeah. And yeah, I just felt like I appreciate you sharing that with me, and if you kind of want to talk about.
Yeah, so what happened, that's why I guess I said that thing earlier of like, if all intents and purposes my childhood was like literally really beautiful. It was like, because that's what my mom just wanted to introduce us to, like, nature and art, but both my parents did. But then when I was like 7, my dad was diagnosed with cancer, and then like a year later he died. And that was really hard because if it was like a whole year of like watching somebody fight cancer when you're that young, and then being your father, it was just like a really weird thing to, like, I don't know, kind of not only get used to the idea of someone being sick, but that it can be your parent, and that they're going to not only not survive, but like, you know, they're just going to be gone. Then it was like, it was all like really, really, really heavy at the time.
Yeah. And I feel like when someone's sick for a long time, it's like, how do you, as a child, also like prepare to say goodbye? Like you have to, like, can you walk me through what that experience was like for you?
It was like really, there wasn't really any, they tried so much with like therapists and stuff, but I just remember the therapists were like not good. Like they were like really terrible. Like they, at least from what I remember, they were just like terrible. Like all they would do is like get mad at my brother for like playing with something, and it's like, dude, he's a 5-year-old, of course he's gonna play with a little like truck or whatever. Like, and that's all I remember. The therapist just being like really bad, and it didn't help at all. The only thing that helped was like my family and my family friends. Luckily my mom had a lot of close friends that were very close to us. That's what helped me get through it, was knowing that the only thing as a child that helped me get through it was knowing that I was still going to have other family, and that my mom had so many like friends, and that we were surrounded by, that we were going to have support. That was the only thing that really got me through it, because there wasn't really any like accepting it. There isn't any like accepting it. It was just like knowing that I was still gonna have that support was what was good.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry for your loss. I know, like, when it's been a long time, but still.
Yeah, it's crazy that, like, yeah, it has been a long time, but you still just never, I think it's like when it's that person in your life, you know, your parent, like, normally you would know that person is like the only person you would know your whole life, you know, everybody else would come and go. So
yeah, I feel like sometimes in my experience, I'm like, oh, it like robbed me of like parts of like having just like a normal, easy, stress-free childhood.
Totally, completely. I completely agree. I totally feel like I did really poorly in school. Like I just like, and I think my mom tells me it's because like I have ADHD and they didn't diagnose it, but I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that my dad died, and I just couldn't focus anymore. Like I just couldn't, like, that was just so traumatic, like having that, like knowing that could happen, that I just literally like I guess I just didn't care anymore at all. Like I just couldn't care. Like I was just so depressed, and it was just so hard, and like to just have to like keep going. I did so badly in school. Like my grades, all of my years in school were terrible. Like I did really horribly in school. I barely graduated, and I don't know if it's because I'm stupid, and this is like this thing that I constantly like battle with myself to this day of like, am I a stupid person because of the fact that I didn't do well in school? Like I didn't do well enough to get into a college, and like I don't know. And then I think then sometimes I'll try to be nice to myself, like, you know, like your dad died, like, you know, like some people, like when their parent dies, like they do so much worse than that, like than just doing badly in school. They actually hurt people, they actually do bad things, like, so you can't really blame yourself for like that happened, and that, you know, it led you to like just not being able to do well in school. Because yeah, I always thought that like if my dad lived, that I would have like just been normal. Like I would have just gone to college like a normal fucking person and just done some random stupid job and just been a stupid normal person. Like I wouldn't be doing all this if my dad was still around. Like I wouldn't be like Chloe Cherry if my dad was still around. That like part of becoming Chloe Cherry and wanting to become this completely other thing was like part of wanting to like escape my life, I think, and things, and like feeling like I just wanted more from the world, and also feeling this feeling of like there's no time to wait, because you never know like what's gonna happen. And like yeah, I like constantly think like, gosh, like I would be so just normal if my dad never died. Like I would just be an average person. But I don't know if I would want to be that. Like, I don't know if
I mean, it definitely like informs who you are.
Totally.
And I also think when you go through like really devastating loss like that, it like makes you obviously such a stronger person and kind of like hardens you in certain ways. I really relate to a lot of what you just said.
Totally. Yeah. That's like, I feel like a lot of people that lose a parent like around that age of like, you know, around like 10 or so, just when you're like, before you're like, you know, an adult at all.
Yeah, when you're totally dependent on like your parents.
But at that time, it's really, really an interesting experience. And like, yeah, that like, it's really crazy just how that really just messes with your world.
Has your mom gotten remarried? Like, did you grow up with a father figure?
So she didn't, like, at first she didn't want to, because she just was like, I mean, it was just kind of hard, I think. But she's remarried now, and she married to this awesome guy that she and he has like kids too, so I have like some step siblings. And yeah, she got remarried like when I was like in high school, and they've had a really, really successful marriage. So I'm just so happy, by the way, to be able to like see that from my mom. And like, just because she was also really happy with my dad, and like there was, you know, and it's something else that makes me sad is that she would always say like, yeah, I really feel like your father and I probably wouldn't have gotten divorced, and like that they really were like a happy couple. And like that she just was really devastated when he died, but then she met someone else, and I'm just really happy that she's like with somebody who's really good, and like they're just really happy, and it just feels like meant to be.
Yeah, and like she deserves that happiness.
Yeah,
my dad just got engaged last summer and is getting married sometime in the next year, but he has never like seriously dated. He's never lived with anyone. Like the whole rest of my childhood, high school years, it was like full single father.
That's interesting. And he didn't want to date at all? Like,
he like dated like one woman a bit while I was in high school, but they never lived together. He told me my whole life, I'm never getting remarried. Like, your mom was the love of my life. I don't want to marry anyone. I don't really want to emotionally be with anyone. And yeah, I felt a little bit, even though I don't know how to explain it, I guess. I felt a little bit like, oh shit, I don't have any kind of mother figure in my life at all. Or like even basic questions. Like I did an episode on this a couple days ago, but like shaving my legs for the first time, like buying tampons. Like those were all experiences that were really difficult for me because I only had a dad. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I don't know if you felt that like the other way.
Yeah, I felt that more from my brother. I felt like like there were some things that would have been nice for me to have a dad for, but I feel like that affected my brother even more because my brother is like, he's very much like a boy. He always was. Like, he liked to do stuff that like guys like to do that my dad would do with him, and I always felt really bad for him. So I guess I could see that. I saw that in my brother for sure, that like there just were things that like at the end of the day, like my mom just didn't like to do this, wouldn't do things the way that my dad would with my brother, that were like very like what boys like to do.
Yeah, like and quintessential totally like go play catch. I'm imagining.
Yeah, totally. Like all those kinds of things, like anything like that, or just like, yeah, like whatever it was, like those things my dad loved to do that with my brother, but then he didn't have that anymore. And like versus I was like extremely girly, so like I could deal with having just a mom because I was so like girly that like I don't know, like I was totally fine with having just a mom. I was like just such a girl that like it was fine for me to have just a mom. And like my brother was like cool with it. I don't know, like he had like his phases and stuff. Sometimes he was like the nicest person ever, sometimes he was like really weird, but yeah, I don't know, I wish I could ask him about it now, like how it affected him.
Were you a party girl at all in high school?
So this is weird, but I was a really big into partying when I was in 9th grade.
Okay.
I loved partying when I was in 9th grade. I thought that they were the shit. I would go to like all the little things. I would like get fucked up. I would go to like weird, like there were these things that were foam parties.
Stop. I went to a foam party.
Yeah, I used to love
They were like out of space though.
Yeah,
right?
out of space.
Yeah, I always think about that now, and I'm like, I didn't go at 14. Like, I definitely went like my senior year, so probably like 17, 16.
No, I only went to those things at 14.
But I'm like, legally, how can they?
No,
I guess it's
how?
just like a part, because there's no alcohol there. You have to drink before if you want to drink.
Yeah. Yeah, they weren't serving any alcohol, so yeah, you can do something like that. But yeah, it was like a foam party, and it was just like this crazy party. And bro, I loved them at 14, and I would grind on people all night.
Yes, you grind, or you like make out.
Yeah, I would go and grind on like so many different people throughout the night, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, and then I remember like just kind of getting sick of it, and I just never went back to it.
It's crazy.
Because I just went really hard at 14, and then eventually I was just like, I just didn't want to anymore. I don't know. I just got into other stuff. But I was really into it at 14, which is really odd.
Well, you know what's also crazy is like I feel like people I know who grew up in LA or New York, like big cities, they really didn't have like that experience. Like I don't know people who like went to foam parties. That was like a really big thing in Seattle.
Yeah. Oh my God. In Lancaster, that was the thing, was to go every weekend. You would go to a foam party or like these weird underage
like city
nightclubs.
Yes, right? Like all city dances. That's what we would call them.
Yeah, like I did that so much at 14 years old that like I just, as an adult, I just want to work. Like, I want to be productive. Like I want to like make shit happen. Like I'm not trying to like go fucking grind on someone in some foam. Like that is so a waste of my time. Like
they were called gyms dances in Seattle, not the foam ones, but they would be like these all city. And I remember it was my first experience like going to one, and I would like straighten my hair and I would like put on, I was like super flat chested back then, and I like put on a push-up bra and we would like take all the little like mirror selfies before and then go to the dances, and like I would try to make out with guys, or like you'd want to grind on them. And I'm like, I don't know if I would let my kid do that.
Yeah, I mean,
like now, like when I have kids, I'm
yeah,
like,
if I had a kid and they were like okay, what's weird to me is I wouldn't mind my kid like grinding on like other kids. It's just weird to me. What if there were like people like older, you know what I mean?
Yeah, who could like sneak in that
yeah,
are like
exactly.
pedo-y, like
yeah,
vibes.
that's what would scare me. That's the only thing that would scare me for my kids. But I feel like, at least when I just think back to myself at 14, and like I had like a good enough judgment. Like I knew to not like do some random cocaine, you know what, like I knew to not do weird drugs and stuff, you know. All I did was like drink and like smoke weed.
When did you lose your virginity?
I lost my virginity when I was 16.
What was that?
It was like not a hot story. Like I remember I had this boyfriend and I was like so into him. He was like so hot, and I was like, oh, I just want to like fuck you. And he was like, no, I'm not ready. I'm just not ready yet. I'm not ready. I'm just not ready. I can't do it. I'm not ready. And I was like, really? You aren't ready? And then it just took forever, and I was just like, fuck. And then I didn't want to go like lose it to someone else, because like I liked him so much. I was so into him, and I was just so set on like him, but he like wasn't ready, and it was like super weird. And that experience, like I'll never forget that like the boy said that he wasn't ready, and I was like so fucking blown away, like blue balls me so hard. And I just was like, I hate men that they don't like sex. I'm just kidding.
Did that affect your self-esteem at all?
It didn't affect my self-esteem. I think it honestly affected like the way that I view men, because before that I thought that men like just wanted sex, and that like that men just wanted sex all the time, and that like they literally don't, and that they're all like too scared to have sex, and that they like, I don't know, at least men are not that sexual from what I've learned.
Okay, I want to talk about your move to Miami.
Yes.
Because you moved like right after you turned 18, right?
Yeah. It was like right after I turned 18, like a couple of days after. And I remember this like crazy conversation I'll never forget. I had this boyfriend at the time. He was so cute, and he went to a different school, but we had just graduated high school, and we were talking one night, and I was like, fuck, I hate like everything. Like I hate Pennsylvania. I don't want to go to college. There's nothing that I want to go to college for. It's so stupid. And he was like, well, what do you want to do? And I said, if I could do anything in the world, if I could do literally anything and there was like no consequences or anything, I would move to Miami and start doing porn. And he was like, then why don't you? And I was just like, come on, dude, like you can't actually do porn. I'll die. And like he was like, no, you won't. Like, have you ever actually looked at a porn, like research what a porn star's life is like. And then I started to actually look into actual porn stars and like they were currently working and like what their life was like and what they were like on social media and like just researching everything about them. And then I was like, oh, like, you know, like I really like porn. Like, why don't I do it? Like, I'm only going to get older. I'm only going to like, you know, this is really the only time when you can actually like do it. So like, why I don't want to go to college. Like, what the fuck am I doing going to college? Because that was what I was going to do. I was just going to go to college because I was just trying to be normal. I didn't want to be like anything, you know, I was just trying to be like normal like everyone else. And I was just going to go to college. And then he was like, you know, like, just why force yourself to do these things? Like, why, like, just there, like, you really only get like one life, you know? Like, why, like, just know that you want to do something but not do it just because of other people, you know what I mean? And that it's like so pointless. And yeah, then like him and like a couple of my other friends, like they really believed in me and like the vision that I had. And so then yeah, I moved to Miami, and moving to Miami from Pennsylvania, oh my God.
It was just like culture shock.
Dude, culture shock. Oh my God, culture shock. It was crazy. It could not have been more opposite of Pennsylvania. Like, first of all, it was warm, and like people like actually just like dressed in their outfits. Like, people like showed their skin, and like people would go to the beach, people would party, people would like make food, and like people would just do shit. Like, they were just enjoying life. Like, it was so different from Pennsylvania, where everyone's so religious and just like, I have to live at these strict rules or else God will hate me, which is like such a miserable way to live. And like in Miami, everyone was just kind of like, just went with the flow of like, oh, like, and I felt like every girl in Miami had lost her virginity at like 13, because like everybody's so open and sexual there. Like, so many people there, like they were all like just so different than I was. Like, they were just so much more sexually open, and I felt I was sexually open, but that was just like for Pennsylvania, you know what I mean?
Yeah, then you got
like,
there and you're like,
yeah, and then in Miami I was like, holy shit. And like there was just, it was crazy. But it was really, really nice for me to like, because back when I was 18 I was still like able to like party, and I was like, I got into the partying in Miami, and just a straight up just like, you know, just hanging out, getting drunk, and like, you know, just the smoking and the all that shit, like going to the beach. I loved that when I was like 18, when I first moved there. It was really, really fun, and it was so freeing, honestly. Like, I can't tell you. I honestly, like, I don't even know like how to put it into better words of like how freeing that felt to be in Miami doing porn after growing up in Pennsylvania, where like people were just like, where like you would literally like, you would be walking down the street and someone would like be like, do you know about God? Can I teach you about Jesus? And then going to Miami, where it's just like completely different, and it's like, it's just like so much more exciting. Like, you know, like everybody's like shaking ass, and like it's just completely different than Pennsylvania. Like, people are actually living, like, at least in my opinion, like they're actually living, they're having fun. And like, I wanted to have fun. Like, I didn't want to just fucking like go to college and just like be this like, you know,
straight
like,
and narrow thing, and then you wake up and you're like, holy shit, I'm like 50.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And just like, you know, like being on this specific line of like, oh, I have to be exactly the way that my mother and my grandmother and everybody was like, and that's how everybody in Pennsylvania is, just so boring. And like, I just, being in Miami was like, oh, just so freeing. And then, but I was really set on LA because I wanted to like make a career out of pornography at the time. And I knew that Los Angeles was where you could do that. That was where, like, you know, big, like Riley Reid and like Asa Akira and like the girls that I really looked up to were at. So I went to LA after like 2 months in Miami, but the time in Miami was like, it was so good. It was so crazy. Like, I think back to the people that I hung out with. Like, I feel like I'm not the only one who thinks back to the people you hung out with at 18 and you're just like, damn, like I was really willing to hang out with those people. Like, that's so
who
funny.
did you hang out with?
Oh my god, like,
what was the cast of characters?
This girl, she would talk like this, and she had this crazy Virginia accent. She would go say, I don't fucking fuck with that shit, and like, it was so funny. And her name was Kaylee, and she like just was so southern. And then there was this other girl who came who was like always talking about her trick. She's like, yeah, like, girl, like, we want to get that, like, I'll just have my trick by that, like, yeah, like, fuck it, I'll just get my trick to buy that. Like, he was always talking about how she was gonna get her trick. And like, honestly, even though I was like doing porn, there was like some things that I was like really like confused. There were also like kind of Miami slang that like the way that people talked about when she was like trick, I was just like,
you're like, what does that mean?
Like, what does that mean? Like, your trick? I was like, what the fuck? And then I found it was like a sugar daddy thing, and I was like, oh, okay. And then yeah, it was funny. A lot of those girls, and a lot of them had sugar daddies, but they weren't even like older like you picture. Like, they would be like young. Like, they'd be like someone, like another, like a dude like in his 20s, or like they'd be somebody like young, because like they would just, and I think that's more of like what a trick was. But there was a lot of girls that would do that. They'd be like, my trick, and it'd be some dude, not even necessarily like it was like, I don't even know why I'm getting into this, but it was just something that I thought was odd at the time. Like, they would always have these like random like guys with them, like suitcase pimps is what we call them in porn. Like, just like these random kind of like dudes that were with them that were just like, that either
like kind of to protect you,
yeah, they were like that they used to protect them, or like something, like, I don't know, like something like that. I never really got that. I'm like too much of a Virgo, I guess.
Okay, wait, I'm really fascinated by your Miami story. I want to know, like, did you reach out to porn companies before you went there? Like, how'd you find the place to live? Who are you living with?
So basically,
you're like a baby.
I saw this movie called Hot Girls Wanted that talked about how people would put on Craigslist at the time. This is illegal now, but back then you could put on Craigslist an ad that was like looking for hot girls to do like video, like XXX video with, and you could like put ads for porn, like called it scouting for porn. You could put those ads, and I found that through the movie, and I was like, oh, okay, that's how you get into porn. So I went in there, found an ad, found like a local photographer guy who like knew the people in Miami, and he introduced me to this lady who was like an agent there, and she was like totally legit, and like they were like, okay, like, and I was like, I want to shoot for these companies, and they were like, yeah, we know those companies. And then I was like, okay, this is what I want, this is exactly what I'm looking for. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna go. And I did it, like, it was like really, really soon, like right after I had turned 18, because I was like so just like determined to do it. And like that was also like the time when like stuff like that's like exciting, and like it was so exciting to like do that at the time. It was so fucking exciting, and like I was such a big fan of porn, and like knew so many porn stars and stuff. I was so excited about it, and like but they like, yeah, they knew the companies, and it was all like totally legit. I was like, I'm really glad that I like was navigated that really well. And then I went out to Miami, and I just will never forget like this moment of just driving out of the airport onto the highway and all the palm trees, and just like the way that my brain literally made like a switch that it's like never gone back from. Like literally just my brain, like a switch flipped on, that I've just been inspired in a way that like I had never been inspired before.
Did you live with some of those girls that you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, so we would live in a model house, and there would be like just the weirdest girls, like the weirdest girls. And some of them were normal, and like some of them are like actually famous porn stars to this day, and like, but some of them were like really weird, and like
in what way?
They were just like, because you like, some of them were like great normal, like there was like girls that I met back then that were like, that still do it to this day, that are like really popular, and like but they were just weird, and like I don't know, they were just like weird, like they just like didn't give a fuck. Like they would like, this one girl, like I remember all she would do was like go on her phone and like smoke cigarettes. It was like all she would do, and like it was just weird to like
see someone living their life
to
like
see
that.
Someone do that. It was just kind of odd. Like all she wanted to do was just sit at home and just like smoke cigarettes. And like there was like there, and then like some weird girls would, like, people would come in, like, I don't know, and people would come in with like a weird idea of it. They would think that it was like so much money, like millions of dollars kinds of money, and it's like, it's not like that. Like, and people would just come in with like weird ideas, and like a lot of people were just like from like random places, and like you would just meet like some random girls from random places that were just kind of like just odd. And I started to learn that like random parts of the country are just, they're all very different. Like,
oh yeah, definitely.
It's crazy how different the states are. Like each state, like people are so different. I remember just thinking that, like meeting these girls, because they weren't like how like we in LA and New York nowadays in our lives, we meet people that are from other places all the time, but they've like lived in LA and New York for so long that like they're a New Yorker, they're like, you know, they're in LA. But then it was like people that were fresh from their state. Oh my God, the states are so different. Like people were just so different in so many different ways, and like the things that people would wear, and like also like girls would like, they were from like a random state, would come wearing clothes that I remember seeing in magazines in like 2007, and it was 2015. And I was like, oh wow, like it really does take years for the trends to get to those places.
Reach these places. Okay, wait, can you share some tips and tricks from the industry? Like I always just, even like, okay, this is one that popped into my head that I literally wrote in my outline, but like bleaching your butthole.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it.
But is that what a lot of people do?
No, because men don't actually want to see that. Like they want to see natural bodies. What the average thing that people like in porn, and at least from what I studied in porn and what I came to terms with, and what all the other like directors and producers and actors that I knew came to terms with, is what does best for pornography and what like the average man finds the most attractive is natural.
Really?
Yes. Whether that be like whatever it is, just natural, whether it's natural boobs, a natural butt, anything natural will always
overperform.
Always natural will always be number one.
And like not waxing or anything, or that's like fine.
That I think waxing is kind of like, that's like a different thing, but it's always like they just don't want to see like bleached skin. Like they want to see like an actual like asshole. Like they don't want to see like an asshole that's been like made for consumption. They just want to see an asshole, if that makes any sense.
It does make sense. It's just no, this is like really clearing up a lot for me, because I feel like my perception was that like, okay, so many people have these like labiaplasties and they bleach their buttholes.
And no like actual man, like I mean maybe some out there want to see that, but like no, just like average straight guy wants that. They just want a natural human woman. Always. Trust me, there is no like normal guy out there that's like, oh, I hope she has a bleached butthole. Like that's weird. It's weird as fuck to have a bleached butthole, because your brain, it's uncanny valley. It's when your brain looks at something and it looks human, but there's something off about it. It's not sexy. Like your brain will never ever find something that is unnatural like sexier than just what is natural. And like it's just, yeah, like like bleaching your butthole is like just not really that much of a thing. That like they want to see like a butthole, like they want to see all of it. They don't want like you're like taking away part of the butthole itself to like bleach it. And like for hair, a lot of guys like could give less of a shit. Like some people like hairlessness. Like some people are into like full body hairlessness and just find that to be attractive. And like, but people are into like a myriad of things. And like I just really will always tell girls that like that like your natural boobs are great and amazing, and like most guys prefer your natural boobs to like some big fake things
that are like hard. Yeah,
no one will ever, like, no matter how small your boobs are, people will always prefer the natural to something fake. And it's always like, it's just so much more genuinely attractive and things. And also like I like to say this on podcasts that like squirting isn't real. If you've ever seen squirting in a porn, it's because that person drank like 5 gallons of water before so they could piss while they're having sex and make it look like this thing that porn makes up called squirt. Squirt was invented by the government to sell you porn. it was just created to sell things. Squirt is not real. It's literally just pee, because people have to drink 5 gallons of water in order to squirt. So like if a guy ever is like, do you squirt, just be like, squirt isn't real. Like if you say, yeah, do you want to get me 3 liters of water and then I can piss on you, sure, like we can play like that if that's what you're into, but like there's no such thing as like squirt.
Well, when you gave the anal tips on Call Her Daddy, I literally ordered the lube shooter.
Oh, the lube shooter.
I haven't used it yet, but I did order it.
So important.
So I was just thinking, but like, is there, I don't know, I guess if you're doing a scene with like a lot.
Okay, so like in terms of like sex tips that I still use to this day that like I learned in porn is things like, if I'm going to have sex, I like to, so after I have sex, I always use something called boric acid suppository.
Yes, I
always put a boric acid suppository every time after I have sex, no matter like if anything, like I always put a boric acid.
To keep the pH.
Yes, to keep the pH afterwards. And I always do that. And I always pee directly after having sex. Yep. I always pee. And I usually like to like take a shower and just like totally clean myself and do the boric acid and everything, and that like makes me feel so much better. And other than that, those are my biggest like sex tips of like keeping clean. And then other than that, I would say to like just get fucking tested like every couple months, and like just get tested. Like I'm not even gonna say wear a condom, because I know that no one wants to wear a condom. Just get tested though, like really get tested. It'll make a big difference. And like
I think it should be like a routine health check.
Yeah, totally. But also another thing is that most people don't have STDs. Like don't be also like scared of STDs, because honest to God, most people don't have STDs. Like when people would enter the porn industry and they would get tested, sometimes it would be for the first time in their life. Most of the time people didn't have anything at all. Like people were normally completely clean. So most like STDs aren't like everywhere. Don't be scared of them, but still get tested.
What about are you on birth control?
Yeah, I love birth control. So I take Sprintec birth control because it also clears your skin. So that's why I'll always be on that one. But there's a lot of different forms of birth control. And I would say just do the pill because it'll also clear your skin. But a lot of people, it's like hard to remember that. Then I would say just try something. I don't know. I've never had a pregnancy scare and I've never been pregnant. And I've always been on birth control. So that's why I say to just be on birth control and like take the pill. It can just, it's
do
really,
wonders.
Yeah, it can really do a lot. Like I really, really like the pill. But other than that, like I would just do, I would say do like, or like the arm implant or something. Like
IUD is really easy. I had the IUD for 9 years.
But the only thing is an IUD, like you can feel the things, like at least I could on myself, like, and so that's why I got mine taken out. And so I don't like the IUD, but the like arm implant thing is good. And like the pill, I love the pill. I think the pill is so great. And because the pill is great because you can, if you have a packet of it, you can take 2 of them and use it as a plan B as well. Even though when you're on the pill, like technically it should work. Sometimes I will, like if I feel like I need to, I'll take a plan B. So the pill is really good. And I just really want people to be on birth control. I just like,
especially
really
with all the abortion stuff going on too. It's like you can take that into your own hands. I actually just got off of birth control for the first time in 10 years.
Wow, really?
And I'm like literally just got my period last month for the first time in like 9 years.
Whoa, really? I still get my period on birth control.
Yeah, I didn't, because I always had IUDs and I just like lost my period fully.
Yeah, when I had an IUD, I didn't have my period at all. But then it like totally, dude, the IUD like messed with my body. I had my period like nonstop for like a year afterwards. And I was like shooting porn at the time, so it was so hard. Oh, and this is another thing. So if you have your period and you want to have sex, you can put makeup sponges in your pussy. And what makes me even better, like take makeup sponges and like wet them with water, or even better, like coconut oil. Put some makeup sponges and some coconut oil and then put that inside of you, and then you can have sex and there won't be blood everywhere.
Oh, wow.
There won't be blood anywhere.
See, this is what I mean. This is the tips and the tricks
that's
of the
a tip.
industry.
Yeah, that's definitely an industry tip. And then like I can't think of what that's like the biggest tip is like to not is to you can have period sex. You can just put the sponges in and neither of you will be able to feel it at all.
How do you get them out?
You just have to like honestly you wait for your organs to calm down and then you'll just reach in there and you can feel it and pull it out, or sometimes you have to kind of like push it out. But like if you do that tonight and then you're like, how do I get it out, just wait until like the next day, and because you have to wait for like your organs to kind of like calm, like not be swollen and just like calm down, and like it'll just come out. Okay. But you have to like reach in there. I've definitely like it's been like kind of difficult, but you know, it's worth it.
I got a condoms lost in me one time. Oh, and man. It was like a whole fiasco. Like I literally couldn't get it out.
Yeah, it's really hard to get it out. I remember one time I thought I had one stuck in me, and I went to the doctor and like had to get like an x-ray and stuff because I thought I had one stuck in me. And yeah, but it was good.
Is there a lot of drug usage in the porn industry?
There isn't more drug usage in the porn industry than like say the journalism industry or like the podcast industry or anything like that.
So people aren't like taking a lot of drugs to like then do like intense scenes.
No, you get kicked off a set if you.
Okay. See, I didn't know that. These are like misconceptions that I've like read about.
If you're fucked up on a porn set, you legally have to be sent home.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah. Oh my God, it is so illegal. So also before each video, they have to do this video. Each scene, you have to do like a video.
I mean, like I consent to
video.
this.
Yeah, that's like I consent to this, and it says, "Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol right now?" And you have to say no, and that's the only way they can shoot it.
And then that's how it can get posted on places like Pornhub and stuff?
Yeah, that you can only be posted on those places if you have a video that says...
Okay, because I always read the comments on like amateur stuff and people will be like, oh my God, this looks like it's like not safe for this looks like the person's actually like being assaulted. But then I'm like, oh, even to be uploaded at those places, do you think most things have to have some kind of consensual video?
Yeah, you're supposed to. Yeah. I mean, I have no idea what any of that amateur stuff is. Like, I have no fucking idea what any of that stuff is. But yeah, for professional videos, and that's why I guess I participated in the professional porn industry and not just did an amateur video, because that's not, I don't know what that is, honestly. Like sometimes that stuff scares me. Like I don't know how, and I also wonder constantly, because when I was in the porn industry, everyone would be like, what the fuck, I would never pay for porn, I'm just gonna watch amateur. And I was like, I just find that to be kind of an odd sentiment. So like, so you're saying you don't, when it comes to sex with you don't want the person to be consenting. Like you would prefer they to not be consenting, that
or
it turns
it's be
you
like
off
stolen
if they consent.
video. Yeah,
that like consent turns you off, and I just will never get that. And like I don't watch porn at all anymore because like I literally don't see it as anything other than a job. Like all I look at is like work. When I see porn is like just like the technicality of the work behind it. So I don't watch any porn at all. Like nothing is interesting to me. I will like scroll through my Twitter and I'm still following porn stars and I'll see it and I'll like objectively still be like, oh, that's nice, like that's gonna sell well. But like I don't like find anything like arousing about it at all, because I know that those people are working. Like I don't know.
It's like a job, a real job. Did porn ever and being in the porn industry like affect your body image at all? Yeah,
it like deeply affected my body image, because I had this agent tell me that I was fat, and I
That's really fucked up.
Don't know if I was fat at the time or not, but it was like this weird thing if he was like, yeah, everybody's saying that you're fat now, and he was like the fattest person I've ever seen in my life. But it was just, he kept saying like, yeah, everyone's saying that you're fat now, and that like really fucked with my self-esteem, and it just made me like want to lose so much weight. And like it still makes me to this day like feel like I still to this day like think that when people look at me, the first thing they think is that I'm so fat. And like just the way that like people would just like comment on videos like, holy fuck, how much have you been eating? And like just the way that like people would just leave so many horrible comments, like I just have this horrible, it's like, and it doesn't really like go away, and like it gets kind of better, but like it doesn't really go away when people leave that many comments, and like when your own fat agent tells you that you're fat, you know what I mean? Like it's like, I don't know, it's just was really hard at the time. And like as much as my friends try to tell me like, you're not fat, you're not fat, you're not fat, I just like, I don't know. And then I wonder like, why is it that like, you know, like there's people, you know, the word thick, like how people are thick, like those people are bigger than me. Like any person that's in the category of thick is bigger than me. Like why aren't those people considered fat? Like why am I the one that's considered fat? And like it just gave me the worst body image, that I just think that I'm so fat because people told me I was fat.
And is that still something you struggle with to this day?
Still, like literally today, walking to here, I stopped to look into a mirror to see if I was fat. Like to this day, still, I think that I'm fat. And like, I don't know what it is that's gonna like get me out of it, but it was just ever since having like that agent like say that, and it just like, it just really fucked with me. And like it's weird because I didn't think that that would happen to me in porn, because there was such a thing of like, oh, like she's thick, you know what I mean? Like that was such a thing, like, oh, like, you know, rappers always talk about like, I want a thick girl, like, you know, like people like thickness on women. I thought it was a thing, and then it's like, yeah, it was just this weird thing. So I just have like a really weird body dysmorphia because of people like telling me that I was fat, when I honestly objectively think that I was still objectively thin. I don't think I've ever been fat. In my personal opinion, I don't think I've ever been fat if you look at pictures of me, but I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Like, and it just drives me insane.
You're definitely not fat, but I know like even saying that, it doesn't help it. I've also struggled with body dysmorphia in a different way, not around weight, but around like fixing behavior, and like being very obsessive about surgery, wanting surgery, like spending hours a day like looking up surgery. Have gone through periods in my life where it's like very intense, almost debilitating, of like, yeah, I want to fix this, I want to get a nose job, I want to do this and this and this and this, and like it's never good enough. And then if you do something, it's like it actually just brings anxiety back.
Totally. Yeah. And that's like something that like I struggle with it forever, and it's kind of like why I talk about it. And like now I no longer like restrict my eating at all. I no longer over exercise. Like I just like, I eat healthy and I do exercise, but it's not like to the point where it's like, at least my doctor says that I'm totally fine now, and he used to say that I was not doing well, so now I'm like totally doing fine, I'm like totally normal. But yeah, like it used to be like all I would think about, like, dude, when I was in porn, like I would also oh my god, this was the worst thing, I would intermittent fast when I was in porn. So I would like spend 8 hours shooting a scene and then not eat the whole time, and then it was so bad. But I was like, and you're so like burning convinced.
So many calories to like working.
It was so hard, and I did that for like 2 years. I intermittent fasted, and it was like so bad. And like, yeah, it was just crazy. And it became this weird thing because it became like part of like who I was. Like, oh, like Chloe just doesn't eat, and like Chloe like just doesn't eat till night, and like no one at any point like stopped and was like, are you okay? Like nobody at any point was just like, why do you want to do all this exercise, and why would you not want to eat food? Like that's weird, like that's not natural, like your body wants food. Like nobody said anything to me. And like I guess the porn industry is so much more toxic when it comes to like body image than the fashion industry, because I've been in both, and like the fashion industry, people just allow bodies to be, and I see girls of many different body types on sets, and I love it. Versus porn, there was like literally one fucking body you could have. Like porn was like so strict, and I don't know what that is, and I don't know like why in fashion we understand that people like a lot of different kinds of bodies, but like in porn it's still very like a certain way. Like I don't know what it is, but I think it's because like porn is always like 10 years behind regular entertainment, I think.
Well, I also wonder if there's an aspect, and this is just coming off the top of my head, but an aspect of wanting people to look really young in porn, and like almost this prepubescent esque. I had a model on my podcast named Allie Michael, who she was like real. I mean, she's still a very famous, successful model, but she was like super, super famous in like the 2010s, 13, 14. And she talked about back then, like they wanted you stick skinny, and she had like this horrendous eating disorder. And now it's really shifted, and they show diverse body types. So I wonder if porn's, like you said, it's like stuck.
Yeah, I think it is stuck there, because I think all the people that run it are like just old. A lot of industries are just run by like old white men. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just like every other industry. It's just run by a bunch of stupid like old white men, and like including porn, I guess. But you know what, what this idea is just coming to me right now. So in amateur porn, which is viewed way more than professional porn, people have like average bodies. You know what I'm talking about, just like a normal average body. Like people like have a stomach on them and stuff, like, but that sells way better than professional pornography. Why don't they take a tip from that and just have normal looking people in it and like make things normal? And like, yeah, I don't really know who out there is watching like porn star fucks up and just like wants to see things like so just like Barbie and Ken like having this like sterile sex. Like I don't know who's really looking.
Yeah, and it's always like really high. Even like the camera quality and the cinematography is like such high quality, you know, because it's like a legit like movie versus like just on some iPhone camera like fucking my boyfriend.
Totally. But I think that stuff like does so much better, and it's so much more real, and like I feel like those bodies, like I don't know, I think that like I feel like there could be more body diversity in porn. I think people would still watch for sure.
Maybe it's up to you to direct the next, like one day.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would go back in the industry at all, but I'm still friends with some people in it that I think are going to make some really good moves. Like Small Hands and Joanna are really great. Like Lola Faye is really great.
Okay. So obviously over the past few months, years, you've become like super iconic on the internet.
Yeah, it's become like, it's all... And then all of this accumulates into this craziness. I don't really know, because what's crazy is like people are like I didn't try to like do this at all. Like I was just doing me, and this just like happened.
Fell into your lap.
Completely. Like I was not trying to be like anything other than me, and like Sam just like reached out to me, and like I'll for the rest of my life be like mind boggled of like, wow, like just like it's crazy that it was me, like that it just, and I don't really know, like I'll never really know like what I was doing, like, you know, like I was just being myself. And I guess I'll always say to people like, just be yourself and have fun on the internet. Like there's no reason to like try to, you know, just you don't need to be anything other than yourself, really. And like, yeah, it's funny, like so many things that people are like a fan of about me, like so many like old pictures of me, I'm like, wow, it's crazy that people are like reacting like that. I'm like, it's just me, like the way that, I don't know, and everything, it's just me, and it's just so I guess I'm just so like, okay, like if you guys like it, like it's cool. But like I'm really, really shocked at all this, because again, like I wasn't like trying to become some kind of like celebrity person or anything, like but yeah, it's just, but I think I'm like really grateful for it, because it just means that like I like it, just what I like is like just a lot of like my taste in things are like is like becoming, I just feel like it means that like the kind of like the taste that I have is like good, I guess, is what it means.
And resonates with a lot of people.
Yeah, that it resonates with people.
How has the quick rise to fame, though, like treated you?
It's been crazy. Like, if I'm being honest, on this podcast, I'll talk about the fact that I like got like a really nice therapist, like a really like good, like expensive, like nice therapist. Like, because before I just would like kind of like not have one, or like I would use one like on an app or like whatever, but then I was like, no, I need like a really, really good therapist who I can call whenever I need. And that's like what like a good therapist is for. And I really need that now, because like just things are like so different for me, and like just it's so crazy. Like, and I'll like go outside, like right now we're in New York City, like I could go outside and like someone could randomly see me and like start screaming and freaking out because they're so excited that I'm there, and like stuff like that. Like all these things, it feels like I went into another dimension. It literally feels like January 9th 2022 I went to sleep and went into another dimension where like everything I say is good or something like that. Like it's literally feels like completely different, because people react to things that I say completely different. When I walk into a room, it's completely different. Like every person in my everything is different. Like everything is different. Nothing is the same. Like literally nothing is the same as it was before. So I've been like really, really into my mental health, because before, like I think when I was in porn, I also kind of like got the ass of porn after a while, and I was like, I'm done with this shit. Probably by the time I was like 21, I was like, I'm done with this shit. Like I'm gonna move on, and I was just like looking for other shit to move on to, and I like I would have stopped performing by now anyway, even if this hadn't happened. But I was like really like. I was like really like getting sick of it. And I remember I went through this like really like dark place when I was like 21, 20. I think I had like just turned 22, where I was like, fuck, like I spent the past 4 years of my life, like, yeah, I had a lot of fun, but like I didn't learn any like skills that are like transferable to anything other than porn. Like I learned how to make porn in the past 4 years. I'm really good at making porn. And like those skills didn't like transition anywhere, and I was just really like desperately like looking for like what I was gonna do next, and I was like thinking, just like didn't know what to do. And like luckily I have my friend Danielle was like willing to like she got me a couple jobs as like doing like set decoration. And it was so fun. It was such a cute job. I think that it's like, and it was such a cool perspective to have like on a set, is like the decorating part of it. And like just because I also make art, like I'm an artist, so that came very naturally to me. So I was just thinking of like anything that I could do, and then that audition came in and just happened to like completely like save my life at the time, because I was like so sick of porn and like just had no idea what I was going to do with my life. And it was really, really, really like a really dark place, like very, 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 very bad place, where I was like, I have no idea what I'm going to do with my life. And I was just like, fuck, like what the fuck am I going to do? And when that audition came in, I was like, okay, like this is something to like focus on. This is something to do. And then when the part came, I was like, I am going to research this role so heavily. I'm going to do this. This is going to be what I'm doing now. Because it felt like it was like almost like it felt like it was like that doing porn was almost like role research for the role of Faye, because like people think that Faye, like a heroin addict, they think that that's what's in porn, but there aren't any heroin addicts in porn that are successful. Like no like person that's actually shooting scenes and like doing porn successfully is on like heroin or like drugs. Really on any drugs at all. Like most porn stars are like just smoke weed, you know, like most of them. And like that but society looked at me as that person, so I kind of knew how to be that person. I knew how to like freak people out and like seem like I was like just, you know, like I know how to do that because of society looked at me at that way. And like I just knew exactly how to play Faye and exactly how to like creep people out and stuff, just because of like what I experienced just from how society had seen me. And so it came like very naturally to me, just being a part of that world and like just like the freakiness of it, that like Euphoria universe felt like almost an extension to the kind of universe that we create and sometimes in porn, of like, you know, like just this freaky,
it makes a lot
like,
of sense.
Yeah, kind of dark, like, you know, kind of thing that I was like, oh, it's like a similar tone that like I could totally do this.
I can reconnect it in a different, like to a different screen, I guess. Have you ever had moments where it feels really overwhelming?
Yeah, honestly, it feels really overwhelming a lot of times. Like when I'm like in LA, sometimes I'll have days where I just really, really don't want to leave my house because I just don't want to like get recognized, and I just don't want to like, sometimes it's just really hard to like, sometimes I just don't always feel my best, and when I don't feel my best, I usually just like stay home and like stay inside, and I just don't want to be around people really. Like I just don't want to, like I just, yeah, I honestly spend a lot of time like not like a lot of time, but I'll have like a lot of days where I will just need to stay home the whole day and like just not see anybody because it just becomes like too much. And like there's things like sometimes it's like now like I don't know, sometimes I'm just not like in the mood to like go out in public because it's something that I actually have to be in the mood for. And like sometimes it gets really hard. Like I'll be like at the airport, like I was at the airport and I like missed my flight the other day and I was like crying. I was like talking to someone on the phone and it was like someone came up to me and I was just like crying and I was just like, fuck, like what do I do? Like I'm literally crying. I'm in the middle of this thing and like I'm like I'm freaking out. And like it's, life doesn't stop like when you become known by people. Like you don't stop making mistakes like once people recognize you. And like it's just sometimes kind of difficult to be like, I don't know. And this one, I was having a fight with one of my friends out on the sidewalk a couple weeks ago and someone was like, hey, are you? And I was like, boy,
you're like, okay,
not right now, not right now. And that's what's kind of tough is, and those things, those experiences are what makes me have to have some days where I stay inside the whole day and just I can't leave my house the whole day. And like I need those things. It's very therapeutic. And I also have started talking to my family a lot more than I used to. Like I didn't used to talk to my family like every day, but now I do like constantly. Like I talk to them all the time because it's because of they're the only people that have, they were cool with me when I was a normal person. They were cool with me when I was a porn star, and they were cool with me when I was a celebrity. Like they don't care. Like I could do anything.
They treat you the same.
They treat me the same, and they're like the only people. It's like my mom is like the only person who's just been the same through all of it. Just, well, it's all fine, you know. Like, and so that's like really comforting to me. Is to
have you found like camaraderie with some of your co-stars, I guess, to like talk about this stuff with them?
Yeah, definitely. Like Angus like literally hates being famous so much, and it's so funny to me because like I think it's like because both of us, we were just scouted. Like we didn't like, we weren't like trying to like get like a platform of some kind, you know. We just, and like yeah, we do find some of that in there, but it's, for me, it's mostly, it's just kind of like I just get afraid of fucking up. Like now that I have so many eyes on me, I just get afraid that I'm gonna like say something wrong or do something wrong, because like I really really don't want to hurt or offend anybody ever. And like I just, with all these eyes on me, it just makes me like,
you're like
kind of nervous.
Yeah,
and it makes me like not, I used to like post on social media like a crazy person and like just post whatever, like all my thoughts all the time, and like now I would never do that because like I don't know if like
it will come back to bite you in the butt.
Yeah, you never know like what could happen. So I just don't really like, I'm way more strategic about like what I'll put out there now with all these eyes on me. Like Instagram like kind of makes me nervous now, where it used to be like this weird place of comfort where I would just like do a bunch of weird stuff on, and like it's no longer like a place of comfort anymore because there's like so many people there, you know.
Have you ever had any bad experiences with like stalkers or like any cyberbullying?
I once had somebody send like a few 8x10s of me to my house. They like mailed it and they were like, hey, can you please sign these and send it back to me? And I was just like, what the fuck? So I had to move. But yeah, it was crazy. Like they were just like, yeah, sign these and send it back to me. Like really, you really think that somebody, you can just send it to a random stranger and that they're just gonna send it back to you signed?
Yeah, and like to my home. It's
To
not
my
even like my
home, yeah.
agent's address or like the work.
Totally, yeah, exactly.
I've had really some really and I'm like, why does this keep happening to me? Because it's not happened just once. I've had some like really crazy internet situations. I had to move out of my old apartment because I got doxxed, where they like post your your address online.
Whoa.
Like fully my address being like, she lives here, like just, and you don't know, there's like crazy people out there obviously. So I ended up moving apartments. Like I've had like people trying to like cancel me, like crazy stuff where I'm like, obviously, yeah, the internet has definitely like afforded me my career and done amazing things. I've met so many people, and then in other ways it can be like a really toxic tool, because I feel like people who shouldn't have a say in your life get to,
yeah,
in like a weird way. Like even you saying like, oh, I was crying at the airport and someone came up.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like people, and this is just like internet culture in general, like feel entitled to your time or attention. And sometimes I just have to be able to separate it and be like, wait, you don't actually know me. Yeah. I don't know you. I don't owe you this. Like I'll get DMs of people getting really mad at me being like, I can't believe you didn't, like, I just spilled my heart out to you. And like the fact that you wouldn't fucking open this or respond to me, like, fuck you, bitch. And I'm like, but you don't know me. So like, and if I took the time out of my day to respond to every single person, I wouldn't have a life. I wouldn't be able to go to dinner with my friends.
No, exactly. That's what I think about. Like, if I were to take the time to talk to every single person at the airport that wants to talk to me, I would miss my fucking flight, and I wouldn't be able to live my life and do these things that make you want to talk to me in the first place, you know? Like, and it's so hard. Like, Coachella was like so overwhelming because I was literally like watching Billie Eilish, who I love. I was so excited to see her perform, and then people were like coming up to me asking me for pictures. I was like, Billie Eilish is literally performing right in front of us, and it was just some of those things. I'm just kind of like, this is crazy. And like yeah, it's like it does, I totally feel that, like I don't have time to live my life with the amount of people that will like come up to me, like when I go places, and like just sometimes like with the amount of people that will like just like stop me, like when I'm like walking places, and like gets pretty crazy sometimes. But like I haven't been to the mall since all this happened. I'm just not sure if it would like go well, and that like some of those things, it's hard to like. And sometimes I'll be like literally in the middle of something, and someone will come up and ask me for a picture, and then I'll like forget what I was about to do and stuff. And like, it literally, that's why I say it feels like I went to another dimension, because before I like didn't even think of that as like a problem that could be the thing. You know what I mean? I didn't even think of that as a possibility, that could even be something. And like now it's just crazy.
It's like you woke up a new person in the same body.
Yes, completely. Yeah, like it just feels like everything just feels so different. And like, and just now, like the way that I get used to like just like that I'll go into a store and like people just start staring at me, and like that doesn't happen to just like a normal person, you know? Like people don't stare at you, but like people will like stare at me, and I've had to learn how to like ignore it. Yeah.
I mean, that's like not
today,
normal at all.
I wanted to just like go to Brandy Melville and stuff, and like I love to do that, and there was just so many like people like talking to me and like on my way there and stuff, and I was just like, damn, like every time that I like do things, like time gets added to it because of that. And like I'm so grateful, and a lot of times, and this is something that I want to say to people, of like, if you're gonna approach me in public, don't just like run up to me, snap a picture, and run away. Like that makes me feel so weird. Just say to me what you want to say to me. Like you can say to me like, I like your character, like I like your this, whatever it is. Just talk to me like
I'm a person.
Like, hi. Yeah, because it literally freaks me out when people just like run up and are like ha, 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 and then just like run away, and I'm just like, what? Like, you could just talk to me. Like we could literally have a conversation. Like at Coachella, there were these girls that like came up to me, and they were like, oh my gosh, like we love you on the show. And then I just started talking to them because like they actually would talk to me, and then we like follow each other now. We're like friends, and like because they actually had a conversation with me. And like if you're my fan, we probably have things in common. So like if you actually just like and I feel like every like famous person is like this, like if you just talk to them, you know, if you just say,
although
like,
I feel like when people get super A-list, then they're like
yeah it's like too much. Yeah but it's just so much better for someone to like actually just be nice and actually just say hi. It's
and treat
so
you like a
better.
person, not
Totally,
a cardboard
yes,
cutout.
yes, exactly.
Do you have trust issues? Like, have those come out at all?
Yeah, I definitely think that I have. Like, I totally do. Like, everything is so weird. Like, I've like questioned like every person in my life. Like at some moment I've questioned like, but what if they're actually just secretly in my life just because they want to get close to me so they could tell everybody that I'm terrible, or like, you know what I mean? And like I don't know anymore. And like it's this weird thing where like, but I really feel like I am like in a good place with navigating it, because like, you know, even before this I still was like a porn star. Like I still like had money and fans and things, so I've always, my whole adult life, I've never been completely normal. Like I've always had some form of this, but like now it's like even more. And like honestly, like I've really like gotten closer with like every person I was friends with before, but it's also nice to like become friends with like new artists that I didn't know before that like are also artists. And like it's really interesting to get to know people. And like, you know, with this I get to know even more people that are even more like me, you know, like this people that have the same interests as me, just even more people that are like me. And it's funny, like I can never find anybody that's like that much like me, because like nobody, like I just can't find anybody that like that like wants that like that like, I guess I've never found anybody to like be as like deep into porn as I was, and then get like this deep into like another industry. Like I've never like seen that, like someone be like that, because I was like into it, like I was really good at it, like I did like so much stuff, like and I was like really into it. And then now I'm like really into this industry. Like I would like to see more people like that, like I don't know, like really get into, because I feel like there's like some porn stars that are also celebrities, but like they're not like super deep into like some other industry. And I want to see more of that, like where like they fully go where they were like really in porn, like they fully go into like more industries. Like I'd like to see that more,
and like respected
totally
in other industries too, which I feel like is really amazing. About, I just feel like societally people look at porn a certain way sometimes, and so I think it's really amazing and like sets a really good precedent.
I think it sets like a huge precedent, and I feel like we need to do that. And like not just because I don't really understand why I just don't get why people see like porn, or like people that are in porn, as anything bad. Like all they did was have sex, and like how was it like?
So I think, I don't know, culturally, religiously, all of these reasons, like it's supposed to be such a primal like almost, yeah, this religious experience of like procreating, and it's like for the privacy of like your relationship. And that's why like all of these religions, like, I don't know, you don't talk about it, you don't talk about sex, and you don't talk about sex ed, and you just do it with the one person. And so it's to like put it on display and like own your sexuality in such a way that people in porn do. I think that's scary for a lot of people. I think people attack what they don't understand. Like it's just like ignorance, you know, like they look down upon things that like scare them because it's like too much for them.
Yeah, and I think this is going back to the fact that I wasn't ever raised with religion. No one ever put the idea of religion into my head, so I just had like the natural human instinct of like sex is good, I want sex. I didn't have no one told me no sex till marriage. No one told me that. No one even put an inkling of that idea into my head. And honestly, I don't know this, but I feel like my family, like at least my mom, I think if I asked my mom, like I think she wouldn't recommend me doing that. I think she would literally be like, no, you should like experience these things and then get married, so that way you really know.
You know what you like.
You know
exactly.
what you like, rather than just like, yeah, I don't think my mom would recommend me doing that.
I mean, imagine, like, yeah, losing your virginity for the first time to just your husband for the rest of your life, but it, like, actually is, like, the worst sex ever. Yeah. And you just don't know anything to compare it to.
Yeah, and then you just don't get to enjoy this facet of life that I think is literally one of the greatest.
And so important. I think, like, just intimacy, connection, like, just your own relationship with yourself and your body is so intertwined with your sexuality.
Totally. And I just believe that, like, naturally, like, our bodies, like, want, like, sex. We don't want to just, like, I don't know, we want just to have, like, sex, and it should just be, like, safe, you know? Like, we just don't need to, like, I just really don't think it needs to be something that's, like, only between, like, a certain thing or whatever. Like,
I'm with you all the way. I totally agree with you. I just think that
sex, like, literally, and I feel like a lot of people that I'm surrounded by now, like, believe the same way of just like, no, you can just have sex whenever. It's not something that should only be, and that's like where I think, again, like Pennsylvania, I just really didn't get along with people because like they really believed that they were gonna like grow up and like get married and only have sex with that person their whole life. And like what's weird is some of them did like get married at like 19 or something like that, and I swore it was just because they wanted to have sex. I always would swear, I was like, why do all these Christian Catholic kids get married in their like early 20s, like late teens? It's because they want to have sex. Totally. And like they
I think that's definitely probably the reason.
And
or they're like getting horny and they're like, oh, I gotta get married.
Yeah, we gotta get married.
Okay, obviously this is like a mental health show, and I know we talked a little bit about like your body dysmorphic stuff and that you see a therapist. Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk me through a little bit of your mental health journey and like what you're willing to share?
My mental health journey has been one where I've been I always try to keep on top of it and like do things about it, and like I'm not someone that's just gonna like be like whatever, like I'm gonna like do something about my mental health always, just because that's like how my mother like raised me and like just how I was always like taught to be. So I have always stayed that way. Like taking care of your mental health is like, I believe that it's one of the nicest things that you can do for other people, is to take care of your own mental health. Is literally a kind thing to do for others.
So you see your how often do you see your therapist now?
I like to see her once a week. I feel like I'm at this point where I just am kind of like going balls to the wall with it, and I'm just doing like everything that I can, you know what I mean? Like I'm just doing as much as that I just really like allowing myself to do as much as I can, because I feel like why not in this time of my life, like when I'm blossoming career wise, also do really well mental health wise, so that way I'll get to like this really 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 good point, you know? I just want things to be going well, and I think that honestly once all this started, I like literally like I have like a psychiatrist and a therapist and everything, and like I was like, when all this happened, I like immediately made a doctor's appointment, because I was like, I need to make sure that like, I just wanted to, I guess, see like what a doctor's opinion was on like how I was feeling, like if I was seeming like depressed or anything like that, and just make sure that I was like okay, and like immediately started seeing my therapist and stuff, and just make sure that like I'm okay through all this, and that I'm not like getting super crazy overwhelmed, and that like my health isn't going anywhere at all, that I'm only like doing well.
I think that's really good advice, just for anyone listening. Like if one part of your life is going super well, like it doesn't, I feel like sometimes then you can almost neglect other parts of your life.
Totally, yeah. And I feel like I used to have that in the past, when I was in porn. Like sometimes I'd be doing really well in porn, and then like suddenly like just my mental health would go, but I'd be like shooting all these scenes, but like my mental health would be like shot, and like I just don't want to let that happen ever again. And like now like the people that I work with, like my agents are like, so like I can say things like, oh no, I can't do that meeting at 11, can we do it at noon, I have a therapy appointment, and that's like very valid to them. And like versus like in porn, like people weren't as like the agents like didn't find that, they weren't like, you know, as like forgiving with that kind of stuff, but like people find it to be like so valid to like want to do those things. And because of that, I'm just gonna like keep doing it. And I just think that like therapy, even if my life is doing really well, I just think that therapy is a good way to like keep my mental health on track, because like I have been depressed in the past, and like I don't want to ever again. And I feel like I since I'm not, I might as well just stay not sad, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I see a therapist twice a week, and I take meds every day, and like that's definitely,
love pharmaceuticals.
That's like a priority of mine.
I love pharmaceuticals. I will take any med. When the doctor's like, "Oh, maybe take a med," I'm okay. Take a med. I love a med.
I take Lexapro every day, and it's really like changed my life.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. Like, I had a doctor put me on Adderall recently, and I don't like love it. It really does like make you focus, and it makes you feel different like during the day. It's like, it's crazy. Yeah, but yeah, no, they're good. I like meds and all of it. I do it all. Yeah,
it's crazy to see like the before I started taking them personally, and then after, just like the shift in my mental health and the shift in like how I was able to manage when things got stressful in my life. Yeah. Do you do just like normal talk therapy?
Yeah, just normal talk therapy. I've been doing dialect behavioral therapy.
Stop, I do DBT.
Oh, yeah.
I do that.
Yeah. I've just started that though.
I did it for 5 months in person every day without a phone.
Oh, wow.
I did this like program. I went away. And now I still kind of do it a little bit. Like my therapist she's trained in it, but I wouldn't say like I do the homework or that kind of stuff anymore. But do you do like the whole shebang?
Yeah. That's what
I find it like the most amazing type of therapy, and one that I was never exposed to when I was younger. Like no one even told me that was a thing.
Yeah, I didn't know that any of them were a thing. Like there was different kinds of therapies. Yeah, and I think that I'm gonna do it and like do it almost as like a project, you know what I mean? Like look at like my mental health as like a project. And that's kind of what and I even talked about this with my agents recently, of like that I am like wanting to like, you know, take, you know, like might like take some time off and like just keep things like good for like, just, you know, like my agents are just so good about like anything that I need, and like they're so good at like, you know, they understand that mental health is really important, that they're part of, you know, that you need like time off, and that you have appointments and things, and like they're really great with it. And I noticed a really big difference with meds and like doing like a psychiatrist and a therapist. Like there's just a huge difference.
Yeah, that's what so when I first went on meds like 3.5 years ago, I saw a psychiatrist. And I know people who like just see a psychiatrist and will just go on the meds, but I feel like it's really important to also like talk about like what's going on with you, like to have them in conjunction. Obviously some people don't need the meds, so I don't think the psychiatrist is like everyone needs that, but I think anyone and everyone can benefit from talk therapy. And I actually won't date guys who aren't in therapy. That's like my new boundary.
Really?
That's like my new thing in the past like year. I'm like, I don't want to date anyone who's not in therapy or some form of it. Like even you can do like free text therapy. Like I don't give a fuck. Just like you have to be actively working on yourself. I feel like I want to feel the same way, but I like, at least I know there was like a time when I was in porn when I like didn't have insurance, where like therapy was just so expensive. It was just a ridiculous cost. But yeah, I feel that that's like probably a good thing, that like people should be in therapy, that it's like everybody should be. Yeah, I'm like, even if it's like, I don't know, just like that. Yeah, obviously you're right, it's not always accessible for sure, but I've just had experiences with dating guys who like either don't really believe in mental health, or just kind of like assholes that like don't see that they're not taking time to reflect on their actions, behavior, life, and like it added up to a lot of issues in our relationship. Or like my most toxic relationships were with people who like always thought I was the problem because they're never willing to take a look in the mirror. And I think I just reached a point where I was like, okay, I need to like date people who are like also trying to improve their fucking lives.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably a really good thing. I should ask everyone that I talk to through therapy. I don't know.
I mean, it's probably crazy of me, but like my most recent ex-boyfriend was not in therapy when we started dating, and I was like, listen, I want you to see a therapist, and now he sees one, and like we broke up a year ago and he still sees his therapist and stuff. I helped him find one. What is your dating life like?
So my dating life is like, there's like nothing really going on. It's just
Have you had a New York minute?
No. I mean, yes, kind of. I don't know. My dating life is just like, it's kind of complicated. Like I just am kind of like seeing like some different people when I feel like it, and that's it. Like no one's like my boyfriend. I'm just kind of like seeing some different people. I don't really know if I want a boyfriend, because there was this guy like that was like the last guy that was like, he was trying to be my boyfriend. I just hated it. Like I just hated the way that he was acting and stuff, and I was like, meh, I don't want that right now. Like I want someone who like wants to be friends for sure and like wants to have sex, but like I don't want someone that like really wants to be my boyfriend right now. And
like romantic, like,
yeah, like the romantic, but also like,
or just like the 24/7 talking all the time and like wanting to spend all their time with you.
I think that was what it was that I was like doing some other shit, and then he like called me, and I was like, hello, because I accidentally answered his call, and I thought it was someone else. I was like, hello, and he was like, what's going on? I was like, oh, not you. And it was just bad. And I really hated it when like he was trying to like be my boyfriend, and like he just kept being like, Chloe, like, you don't understand, like, how could you do this to me? Like, I don't want anyone else but you, blah blah blah. And I was just like,
it's very smothering.
Yeah, it was weird. And then I remember I like blocked him, and he like came to my house and like left like a CD that he had burned, and like flowers. Yeah, I left a CD that he had burned in flowers, and it was really weird just because I like didn't want to talk to him anymore. It was just this weird thing. And he was like, I feel like I also don't like when guys do this thing where like we start talking, like first we're like just friends and like we're fucking, like things are good, and they start being all like, are you talking to other people, you know, like, are you with other people?
No, that's literally my move.
And like but like I've just had like 2 guys in like the past year or so where like we start talking, and then they start freaking out, like, are you with other people?
Yeah, because they're falling in love, so they're getting jealous.
I don't know what it is, but I feel like I've distracted myself with so many other people that I haven't given myself enough time to fall in love with anybody, because I just keep distracting myself with the next person.
Yeah, but I'm also like, ride the fucking wave of like your bomb ass career. No, yeah. I'm serious. And like, I feel like all the other things will fall into place when they're meant to. Yeah. And like, they can be distracting.
Totally. And that's kind of when those guys were like, oh, like, are you talking to other people? I was like, fuck, I don't want a boyfriend, because like I don't want like this conversation that I like meet a guy and like I get along with him and we just want to keep hanging out, that like that's considered like talking to, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I want to be able to just do whatever I want with anybody, and just really like be able to spend time with anybody, and not have someone be like freaking out because it's a guy, you know, because I meet people all the time, and like sometimes I want to further get to know people. Like I can't deal with someone that's like, no, you can't talk to other people. And like that's another thing, is I'm looking for someone that's just not like that. It's not gonna like call me and like freak out, like, what are you doing, just because I didn't text them. Like I can't do that.
Oh my god, I dated someone like that, and it was like very draining.
Yeah,
it's really, really draining when someone's up your ass in that way.
Yeah,
because I feel like you have to have trust and a certain like no one wants to be controlled.
Yes. Yeah.
And also, like, you don't want to close any doors. Like I said, like ride this wave of, like, you're meeting so many cool, amazing people. Like, I don't know, I feel like until you really meet the one where you're like, okay, I don't even want to look at anyone else. I just want to, like, enjoy what this is and I'm in love. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm projecting because I'm in that phase of, like, I'm really trying to be single for the first time in my life. I'm, like, always was in relationship, always had a boyfriend. Such a difficult time being single. And now I'm kind of like, oh, like, life, throw it at me.
Yeah, and I kind of am almost having a difficult time. I had like a 3-year boyfriend and that ended, and then since then I've kind of just had a difficult time. But we were also like different, and like I don't know, I just have had a difficult time like with like doing that, like a relationship. Like every time I've gotten anywhere close to it where like someone could like be upset that I'm like hanging out with like another guy, I can't do it. Can't do it.
Yeah, and I don't know, maybe you have to date someone who's like knows kind of what you're going through and like the similar circumstances, or maybe you have to date someone who's like so not in show business. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't really know what it is at this point.
Yeah.
It's got to be something. But I feel like I think you're right. All those things will just come into place. So like right now I just don't want to, I would have to be like so in love to want someone to like be my, and they would also have to like naturally just fit in my life. Like naturally they're not the type of person that would ask me what to do, because I constantly will get super busy in a day and just, you know, like a bunch of hours will go by and I'll be super busy and I'm just doing stuff and I can't talk to anybody, and like I feel like I'll have to wait until I find someone that like naturally falls into that.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. What are you doing for the rest of the evening?
The rest of the evening I think I might walk home. Because we're like, how far away from the Lower East Side?
Like 2 blocks.
Yeah, we're basically in the Lower East Side. So I'm going to walk home. I love walking around New York. It's so fun. I've been walking everywhere. And
have you been going out at all? Like, have you gone dancing?
No, I haven't gone dancing. I could go out. I don't know. I'm here to work. So I don't usually go out, but I did go out a little bit. Like I've gone to like some bars and stuff, and honestly I'm not really a going out person. That's actually more so what I'm trying to say than anything. I don't like going out.
Well, that's fair. That's fine. If that's
I
not
watched
your
a
thing.
really nice sunset at like the harbor. Oh, it was so nice. That's what I do in my evenings.
I know. I'm like, I had a really crazy stressful day. Like I have a car here and it like got kind of it got stolen.
I
know. And so I was at the police precinct today, and like it's fine. I the car's back. It's like it got worked out. But I'm like gonna go have a drink.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to go get an Aperol Spritz like right now. But anyways, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
where can all my listeners find you?
So you can find me on Instagram, which is at perfect_angel_girl, or on Twitter, which is _Chloe_cherry_.
And you can find her on Euphoria.
Yes, and Euphoria, and like a bunch of different ads, and like, but if you follow my social media, you'll know where you can find me, and it's everywhere. But mostly you'll find me like social media and Euphoria, HBO and Instagram.
Well, congratulations on all your success.
Thank you so much.
And thanks for coming on. And I would love, if you're here till August, I would love to hang out with you.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
we
definitely.
could go get dinner or do something.
Most definitely.
Do some kind of vibe.
Yeah, for sure.